Today's lesson is called Battle of the Milks, Dairy versus Plant-Based Alternatives. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
And I am Helen.
We are getting down and dirty today. It's a fight to the death between dairy and plant-based alternatives. It's the battle of the milk. No one is actually fighting. Helen and I aren't really actually having a spirited debate, okay? I'm more of a fan of dairy milk because that's what I grew up with, okay? I love having a bowl of cereal in the morning with some milk, some cow's milk. But we learned during day one of our lesson that, cow's milk, it does have its upsides, but it has its downsides too. It has its pros and it's got its cons. And for those reasons, because it has some disadvantages in some places, people have sought out plant-based alternatives because they would rather not deal with these disadvantages that come with drinking cow's milk.
Yep, and today we're going to be talking about some more disadvantages of cow's milk, but we're not going to be talking about the health properties of drinking these types of milks anymore. We're going to be talking about their environmental impact, what it means to make cow's milk and what it means to make plant-based milk. So often we don't think enough about the environmental impact of the things that we put in our bodies. We care about how something tastes, which is of course important. But when we stop and think about what it actually took to make that food that we eat, then we maybe will stop and reevaluate our food choices.
Oh no, say it ain't so. Am I having a negative effect on the environment by drinking cow's milk? Oh no, not only does it contain that nasty fat, apparently drinking cow's milk, well, it's just not a good move for Mother Earth. Well, I better start drinking some plant-based alternatives if I want to be more green and eco-friendly. Now, am I going to stop drinking it altogether? Probably not. But you know what? I'm thinking deeply about this topic right now. And you know what? After the break, we're going to think even more deeply on this topic. So stay put. We'll be back after this.
Many people choose plant-based milks for environmental reasons. It's hard to imagine, but it takes about 4 square kilometers of land to produce just 1 glass of dairy milk, the land being used to keep cows and grow the food they eat. Only a fraction of that amount of land is needed to produce a comparable amount of plant-based milk.
各位好，第一部分我们看到单字 fraction 这个字是名词，指一小部分，常写作 a fraction of 加名词。例如 compared with last night, there is only a fraction of the number of people in the restaurant. 和昨晚相比，现在餐厅里的顾客少之又少。或是Monica found a designer dress at a fraction of the price in a second-hand shop. Monica 在一間二手商店找到一件比定價便宜很多的設計師洋裝。另外，補充一個相關名詞 portion, P-O-R-T-I-O-N. Portion 指分量，一部分。像是 I save a portion of the money I make each month. 我每個月都會把所賺的錢存一部分起來。或是 During this portion of the program, you will hear singers from Italy. 在节目的这个部分，你会听到来自意大利的歌手唱歌。
So we're talking about plant-based milks and cow's milk and how they affect the environmental situation. And it says here, many people choose plant-based milks for environmental reasons. It's hard to imagine, but it takes about 4 square kilometers of land to produce just 1 glass of dairy milk, the land being used to keep cows and grow the food they eat. So producing cow's milk does indeed have a very heavy environmental impact, mainly because it takes up a lot of land, and that land is used to grow food, to grow oats or soya that the cows eat in order to be able to produce the milk. And also the cow needs a place to live. They need to be able to walk around, and they need a lot of land to roam.
So that seems pretty inefficient to me. 4 square kilometers of land for 1 glass of milk. If that is not inefficient, I don't know what is. Anyways, moving on, it says only a fraction of that amount of land is needed to produce a comparable or comparable amount of plant-based milk. So there you have it, okay? Cow's milk might be chock full of nutrients, but it comes at quite a high cost. The same cannot be said for these plant-based alternatives.
Right, and here the word fraction just means a small part of an amount of something. So I could say, for instance, the politician isn't popular since he received only a small fraction of the total number of votes.
Okay, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
Water consumption is another consideration. Here, soy milk and oat milk are the clear winners, requiring only 5 to 10 liters of water per glass of milk. In contrast, dairy milk production consumes an immense amount of water, about 120 liters per glass. Producing almond milk also requires a lot of water, as almond trees must be watered plentifully for years before almonds start to grow.
第二部分我们看到名词 liter 意思是公升，例如When I am hiking in very hot weather, I will sometimes drink up to 5 liters of water during the day. 当我在非常热的天爬山时，偶尔一天会喝到将近5公升的水。或是 When I go jogging, I carry at least 2 liters of water with me. 我去慢跑时至少会带2公升的水。接下来我们看到单字 plentifully 这个字是副词，指丰富的、充足的，像是I heard the snow fell plentifully this winter in my mom's hometown. 我听说在我妈妈的故乡，今年冬天下了非常多的雪。另外，这个字去掉字尾 ly 就成了形容词 plentiful， 指丰盛的、充足的。举例来说 ，edible wild berries are plentiful along this hiking trail. 在这条登山路线中有丰富的可食用野莓。或是 Our supplies are plentiful, so please take as much as you need.我们的供应量充足，所以想拿多少就拿多少。再补充一个相关片语 plenty of 加名词，表示许多的……像是 We've got plenty of time to finish work on the project before it's due. 在到期之前，我们有许多时间来完成这个专案的工作。
So we know now that dairy milk, cow's milk takes up a lot of land in order to produce, and that plant-based milks take up much less land. So in that sense, it's much more environmentally friendly. But let's look at another dimension of the environmental question of these different types of milk. And one other thing that we should consider is water consumption. And it says here that water consumption is another consideration. Here, soy milk and oat milk are the clear winners, requiring only 5 to 10 liters of water per glass of milk. So soy milk and oat milk don't require a lot of water in order to produce.
And you might be thinking, wait a minute. 1 glass of milk here, it takes 5 to 10 liters of water. That's a lot of water, like 10 liters of water. That's like 5 big bottles of Coca-Cola. If you go to the 7-Eleven, those really big bottles of Coca-Cola, let's say, those are 2-liter bottles. And yes, here the word liter, it's a unit of measurement for volume, for liquids and stuff like that. And it says, okay, soy milk and oat milk, they're great. They're clear winners here, okay? They require only 5 to 10 liters of water per glass of milk. That's a lot of water. Well, wait. Just wait. The next sentence says, in contrast, dairy milk production consumes an immense amount of water, about 120 liters per glass. So, by comparison, or in contrast, I should say, cow's milk, you sure do need a whole lot of water to produce just 1 glass. So, a lot of land and a lot of water. Oh my goodness. By the way, here we have the word immense, all right? We're using this word to really drive this point home because if something is immense, it's huge. It's gigantic. This is a very strong word, okay? You wouldn't say, oh, it consumes kind of a big amount of water in this particular situation, okay? Here we're saying that there's no comparison almost, okay? It's 5 to 10 liters for soy milk and oat milk, whereas cow's milk, 120 liters per glass. That's a huge difference. The difference is immense.
Yeah, immense basically means extremely large, not just big, but extremely large. So I could say something like, the universe is so immense that it's impossible for us to understand just how big it is. I could also say, I have an immense headache right now. It's an exaggeration, but it's just a way to say that I have a really bad headache or I have an immense stomach ache. So here, there is a big difference in the amount of water that each type of milk requires to be produced. And the amount of water needed to make cow's milk is immense because you need to give water to the cows. They need to drink water in order to live, in order to produce milk. And you need to use water to grow the food that they eat. So it really is a very, very big difference. And the contrast is gigantic. So you say in contrast when you want to compare two things and say that the second one is very different from the first one. So I could say, for instance, in contrast to my brother who is athletic, I am basically a couch potato.
An immense couch potato or just a normal-sized couch potato?
An immense couch potato.
Okay, and she's not actually a potato, folks, and I'm taking these things way too literally. Anyways, back to our lesson here. Producing almond milk, it says next, also requires a lot of water, as almond trees must be watered plentifully for years before almonds start to grow. So there you go. It sounds like the big loser over the course of our 2 days here is almond milk. You don't get the same nutrition as you do from the almond milk, okay, 1. And 2, do you get those same environmental benefits? Not really. Apparently, when you drink almond milk, you're wasting a whole lot of water, so to speak. Anyways, it says that these trees, these almond trees, must be watered plentifully, i.e. you have to give them plenty of water or a lot of water.
Yep, and you need to water them for a long time, for years, before they even begin to produce almonds. So it takes a lot to grow almonds, and that's what makes them not very environmentally friendly.
There you go. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take another break. But don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our article on milk.
All of these types of milks are responsible for greenhouse gas emissions, but again, dairy milk is the biggest culprit, with cows themselves emitting methane whenever they pass gas. Indeed, each glass of dairy milk contributes over 0.5 kilogram of greenhouse gas emissions, whereas plant-based milks produce 0.1 to 0.2 kilograms per glass. Plant-based milks are the best choice for environmental conservation, and they are a suitable option for our diet. So consider going non-dairy for both a healthier planet and lifestyle.
第三部分，我们看到单字 emit 这个字是动词，指排放、散发气体、热量、光线等。例如 The lamp emitted a bright white light. 那盏灯发出一道明亮的白光。或是 The security system emitted a loud alarm when someone attempted to break into the building. 有人试图闯进大楼，保全系统就警报大作。最后我们看到单字 lifestyle 这个字是名词，意思是生活方式。例如 I enjoy living a relaxed lifestyle where I have lots of time to myself. 我享受放松的生活方式，让我有足够的时间留给自己。
So far we have looked at water consumption. We have looked at the amount of land that is consumed, that is taken up in producing the different types of milk. And now we're going to be looking at something that is just as, if not more important, and that is greenhouse gas emissions. And it says all of these types of milks are responsible for greenhouse gas emissions. But again, dairy milk is the biggest culprit, with cows themselves emitting methane whenever they pass gas.
So when they fart.
Yes, that's what you were saying before, Jeff.
That's a very polite way of saying fart. When cows fart, they release methane, which is a known greenhouse gas. So there you go. All of these milks do produce some greenhouse gas emissions, and, that's not a good thing. But again, dairy milk, well, it's not so good. It's the biggest culprit here. By the way, a culprit is someone or something that is behind something else, okay, who is guilty or behind that thing in a negative way.
Yeah, and so dairy milk is the biggest culprit, meaning it is the most responsible for producing greenhouse gas emissions. And one of the reasons is because cows are animals and animals pass gas. Not only when they fart, but also they burp a lot, apparently, because they're always eating and chewing. So they probably swallow a lot of air. So cows produce a lot of methane, which is a greenhouse gas. I could also say for the word to emit, which basically means to give off or to produce, as in a gas or a sound or a sensation, I could say the sun emits warmth and radiation for the earth. Or I could say the baby emitted a loud scream when it fell from the bed.
There you go. Yes, so they emit or let off methane whenever they pass gas. No jokes again. Cow farts and other bodily functions are not good for Mother Earth, our planet. How interesting. Indeed, it says each glass of dairy milk contributes over 0.5 kilogram of greenhouse gas emissions, whereas plant-based milks produce, 0.1 to 0.2 kilograms per glass. So dairy milk, it's a big contributor to greenhouse gas emissions compared to plant-based milks. There you go. By the way, here we have the word contribute. When you contribute something to a charity, let's say, you give something to that charity to help that charity out, to support that cause, so on and so forth. That's not exactly the case here, though, is it, Helen?
No, here it's more something like it's a thing that helps to make something else happen. So I could say, for instance, besides having lost several accounts, John's frequent absence from work also contributed to his getting fired. So he got fired because he wasn't doing his job well. But something else that contributed to his getting fired was the fact that he always or very often arrived late to work.
There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap things up. The final paragraph of our article says, plant-based milks are the best choice for environmental conservation, and they are a suitable option for our diet. So there you go. We've just proven to you guys, everyone out there, that plant-based alternatives are better as far as greenhouse gas emissions are concerned, as far as water consumption is concerned, as far as land use is concerned. So they are a suitable option for our diet, and they are better for planet Earth. So try to make a change. And yes, they are suitable for your diet, okay? You can make these things work within your diet, and you can still be a super healthy person.
So consider going non-dairy for both a healthier planet and lifestyle. And lifestyle refers to the way you live, the type of life that you have, which includes your job, where you live, your hobbies, basically all of the things that make up your life. And if you want to have a healthier lifestyle, you also probably want to have a healthy environment because everything is connected to each other. So I could say, for instance, regarding the word lifestyle, my friend is living the lifestyle that I want. She can travel to beautiful places and work at the same time. I really envy my friend. I envy her for her lifestyle.
And maybe if you've got some bad habits, your doctor might recommend some lifestyle changes. Yeah, throw away the cigarettes. No smoking. Those things are going to kill you. It's a filthy habit. So yes, go ahead and adopt a healthier lifestyle, no more smoking. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to say bye-bye, but don't worry, the Chinese teacher is on her way.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny， 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的第二句有写到 It takes about 4 square kilometers of land to produce just 1 glass of dairy milk, the land being used to keep cows and grow the food they eat. 光是生产一杯牛奶要用到大约4平方公里的土地，这土地用来养牛和种植它们吃的食物。同学们有没有注意到这里没有用连接词来连接两个子句，然后后半句的主词 the land 后方直接接了一个分词 being。好，那这其实是独立分词构句的用法。独立分词构句就是指说，当前后子句主词不一样的时候，我们省略连接词，并且把其中一个动词改分词的情形。好，像课文句子，如果先把它还原，可以写作 It takes 什么什么什么 and the land is used 什么什么，前后子句的主词不一样，分别是 it 和the land， 所以这两个主词呢都必须保留哦。那接着我们去省略连接词 and， 然后把后半句的动词 is 改成分词 being， 就会变成 It takes the land being used 怎么样怎么样。所以这时候我们就看到 the land 后面直接接分词 being， 那这后半句它就被简化成独立分词构句了。好，我们再来造个例句试试看。The man shouted,And his eyes flashed with anger. 那名男子大叫，然后眼中冒出怒火。好，因为前后主词不一样，分别是 the man 还有 his eyes， 这两个主词都必须保留哦。那我们接着来省略连接词 and， 然后把后半句的动词 flashed 改成现在分词 flashing， 那句子就可以简化成 The man shouted, his eyes flashing with anger. 好，再来我们读到课文第三部分的第一句，他说All of these types of milks are responsible for greenhouse gas emissions. 所有这些奶类都会排放温室气体。好，形容词 responsible 我们知道可以用来形容是有担当的，是负责任的，可是在文中并不是这个意思哦。那我们就来学习 be responsible for 的几种用法。好，第一个呢，我们可以用它来表达负责什么，掌管什么，对什么什么负有全责，那这是带有正面的语义。举例来说In general, the left side of the brain is responsible for language and speech. 大致上来说，大脑的左侧负责掌管语言和说话能力。好，第二个用法我们可以用来表达说对什么什么是负有责任的，像是可能是对某个意外啊、过错或是罪行要负有责任，那这带有负面的语义。举例来说Donald was responsible for the accident. Donald 要为那一场意外事故来负责。好，第三个用法是来表达说造成、导致，或是表达说某人或某事物呢是什么什么的原因。像课文里面就是这样的用法来表达说所有的奶类都会造成温室气体排放。例如 Livestock are responsible for almost 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions. 全球温室气体排放有将近 15% 是由牲畜所产生的，它们是造成这个排放将近 15% 的这个原因。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Fraction. Fake luxury watches cost a fraction of what real ones cost. Immense. Gazing at the immense ocean, Edmund felt powerless in the face of nature. Plentifully. To the farmer's delight, it rained plentifully after he had planted his crops. Emit. The factories in the industrial district are emitting a thick black smoke. Contribute.
Zelda always contributes good ideas to classroom discussions.
Lifestyle. Justine envied the lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Discussion Starter starts now!
And now it's time for our discussion starter. Jeff, did the article convince you to try plant-based milks? Why or why not?
Well, after reading the article, I do want to try plant-based milks because even though I am a cow's milk guy, and always have been. I had no idea of the environmental impact that cow's milk can have. It's not a very good impact, so for that particular reason, I might just start substituting my cow's milk for some plant-based milks.
Well, in my case, reading the article didn't change my mind about dairy milk, as I had always thought that dairy milk was probably not the best choice because, as they say, human milk is for babies, cow's milk is for baby cows. Well, this is the end of our program. We hope you had a great time with us today. Hope you can join us again. From all of us here, I'm Helen.
I'm Jeff. See you next time.